It's that kind of fragmity, cattaily looking thing, and this thing, and that's all I'm sure of from this picture.
Okay.
Okay? And those things are printed just black on the sheet and then watercolored.
Okay. And then the areas down here that has that beautiful kind of iridescent paint, that is also...
That's hand painted on the mother sheet.
It's hand painted, okay.
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah,
before the printing.
But I've already decided which vase is going on there.
Okay.
That's how I can instruct Ruth where to print this.
Okay.
And so from my own acetate of which vase goes on the sheet and where it goes, I make an acetate for each. I make a kind of plan for each printing job. From that acetate, I know where to paint the shadow of the vase. Mm-hmm. And I paint the shadow of the vase before the vase ever gets there.
Okay.
Now the vase, in turn, is a separate printing project. Let's say this is a piece of silver striped paper, mm-hmm. and then this vase is printed on it. Mm-hmm. And I give her the papers for each vase. Mm-hmm. Okay. Some of them are found papers, and some of them are collages of different found papers, and some of them are papers I've painted.
Okay.
I've bought thousands of sheets of paper for this project, and all different kinds, so that I always have what I want.
So when you have the paper, I mean, is the paper scanned and then printed on a more archival paper?
This is
or
a
how does
relief
that work?
print. Which means it's a steel. It's like a rubber stamp in steel.
Okay.
You know, it's got
mm-hmm.
raised elements,
mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure I know what this paper is. It's a Japanese paper that has these silver striations on it. Mm-hmm. What was your question?
My question was about the paper itself. You know, when you say that you collect papers from all over, or this is from wrapping paper, do you cut it out and is it a scanned piece? Is it, I guess what I'm trying to find out, if you go and get any random wrapping paper, it's usually not necessarily going to be the highest quality paper.
In this case, this is not nothing is like, if it's 50s wrapping paper, which is, 2% of the ingredients of these prints, or maybe 1/2 of 1%, you'd have to make a digital copy of that.
That
because
was my
otherwise
question.
The paper quality is too crappy.
Right. So do you scan and then print out on good paper and then cut? That's basically how. Are a lot of the elements like that? Or not necessarily? Okay.
You might not. There's digital prints in every one. Now, this banana, I have a pretty big collection of found old botanical prints.
Okay.
So, like, this is a banana blossom from an old botanical print, and it probably ends right there. Mm-hmm. You know how when you look at a botanical print book, the pages of the book aren't this long.
Right.
And they often show you, like, the blossom on top of a leaf mm-hmm. with 2 inches of the stem mm-hmm. and maybe a banana over here or something mm-hmm. like that. So Shelley and I have digitally reproduced this on archival paper and then painted in watercolor and gouache what we imagine the rest of his stem looks like.
Right.
So then we can actually make him do anything.
Yeah.
We can take this horse chestnut and he can have this angle this time and a different angle another time and be, falling over completely another time or whatever.
Right. Well, that's what's so great. There's that tension for me in the work because you're not really aware of it, but so many of these stems would never be able to support.
Yes.
Clearly they would be drooping, but they're not.
Yes.
And there's this.
Like this seaweed is a good example. It's on this tiny, tiny little wire of a stem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. All that perforation.
Yeah, and this thing is, one thing that really helped these prints a lot is I was a resident artist at Dartmouth in the spring of 2006. And one of the things you get for doing that is complete library privileges, mm-hmm. any of their libraries. And the librarians are like bending over backwards to help you. Mm. So I spent hundreds of hours in the Dartmouth Medical Library, where they have like 13 volumes on the mosses of Turkey. 11 volumes on the lichens of Yugoslavia. Wow. I mean, these are the early taxonomies of the botanical resources of the world.
Wow.
And, today's medical student is not that interested in these books. They're usually from like 1835 or something like that. And the librarians were so thrilled that I was into them that they just helped me some days I had 4 librarians working for me.
Wow.
It's like
Not a bad
amazing.
deal.
So this was a beautiful old German book on seaweeds.
Okay.
And then we've made up the stem for it. This is hand drawn, this cattail. It's just pen and ink and watercolor. That's a direct print too, that little fluffy orange thing that's watercolored on there.
So would this be lithography, or how is
No,
that
that's
printed?
pen and ink. There's no printing in that at all. It's completely hand done.
So then how could that... That's what I get confused on, too. Oh, that's right, because these are unique pieces.
Yeah.
See, I
Yeah. You know, at my opening at Pace, I answered that question 20 times. People would
forget
look
that they're
at
not an
them,
edition.
and they would say,
How do
and
you-
how many of these are there?
Yeah, and I know that.
And I would say 1.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing that I notice, and that's why it's nice to have several, is like when you tell people it's unique, they think that there's another one that's basically like this, but maybe this is a little greener. Or
Right.
This, you know, they
That
don't
it's a print that's been
understand
slightly
it's
hand-colored or-
wholly
yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
And this, you have this one here,
Yes.
right? Okay.
These
So
ones
this
I
is
have.
a hawk moth, and he has this really curly tongue.
Ah.
And if you get up close to him, you can see that it's collaged, and you can see like the way the tongue, the curly tongue is cut out. It's
Oh, I don't
kind of
think I'll
funny
have to
when you
look for
get
that. I
up
don't
close
think
to
I've
it.
noticed that. There's so much to see, and that's
Yeah,
what's so
there is
great
a lot
about
to
them.
see.
They're sort of endlessly satisfying.
And this is a beautiful book I found. It's called The Plums of New York. It's a whole set of books. There's like the apples of New York, the plums of New York, cherries of New York. And it's early color photography, and it's really very kind of bad photography. But I really like the color. It's so odd.
The birds.
And I like the way it's kind of falling out of this urn.
Yeah.
And then this urn has this greenish paper. I don't think I have any more of it in the drawer, but it sort of has a marbly quality that kind of goes with the urn itself. And now see that calla lily, that's hand drawn.
Oh, okay.
And this
Bird of
Bird of Paradise is a digital. And then this is 2 digital geraniums. They're from old seed catalogs. And then they're on this stem, and the stem is a lino cut.
Okay.
And I think these pussy willows are directly printed on the mother sheet of paper and then hand colored.
How much time do each one
They're
of these take?
very labor intensive,
Yeah.
but it's also really fun to do.
I mean, they seem like
I was
fun.
sad when I was finished.
Are you done with these?
I'll
mean,
probably
you know,
make some
done
more,
is a
but
funny
they
word.
won't be like, each group is different.
And they got bigger over time, too.
They did get bigger. And also, the other thing is, I don't know if you have any of these. I don't know if I can show you an example, but Shelley and I made some collages where the mother sheet that the collage is on is a collage. Did you notice that?
The collage,
In other words,
the mother
this
sheet's
is this mother sheet is a sheet of handmade paper from either Nepal or India. It's very thick paper, very heavy.
This one is, too. It looks heavy
This
anyway.
is different.
It's a
This
beautiful
has a
edge.
real decollage, and
Love
I
it.
think it's French paper. Some of them, and the ones that this is true of, have a very rectangular edge.
You want to see what the other ones we have? Maybe
Some of them are
Love them.
completely collaged. The white paper itself is a collage of 4 or 5 or 6 different kinds of white paper, kind of patchwork on top of each other.
I don't know if we have one of those. Were those the really big ones? maybe?
Yes, yeah.
I don't think I have anything that's...
This is from the first
Really
series.
big, yeah.
This grains of rice one.
I had this in a show earlier this
This
summer.
is a nice
Called
one.
Manic Botanic.
Yeah, I saw that on your website.
Yeah. I love talking about this one just because it's, let's see if I can make this bigger. Oh, well, not really. Because of the pea pod and the peach and all that stuff you were talking about before. This one little petal. And the bird.
I love the ones with the birds in